get started, I wanted to thank you all for being here tonight to listen to the power of connection. And we're going to talk about some top 10 recommendations for your LinkedIn profile a little bit later. Now, as a consultant, I spend a good amount of my time teaching people how to network smart. Now, I'm very, very passionate about this topic because I believe that networking it's an essential life skill, and it's a skill that with the right strategy can help every single person in this room. Now, in my consulting work, people bring me in for a variety of different intentions, including companies and leaders that want to teach their employees how to network smart. Because our employees are champions of our culture. They're also the ambassadors of our products and services. So if they know how to network smart, chances are that's going to benefit our company and our projects. But what's interesting to me in this work is that no matter what industry I'm working in, and I've been in healthcare and IT and oil and gas and federal, there's a commonality between all the people that I coach. And that is those that say they struggle with networking usually fall into two categories. And that is the category of lack of skill or lack of will. Now, if someone tells me they lack the skill to network successfully, that's kind of the easier one because there's tools and resources to help. But for those that lack the will, as you can imagine, that requires a little bit more work on both of our parts. So tonight, I'm going to share some best practices and some strategies and stories. If you're one of those people that might be caught, or you know someone that might be caught in between the skill and the will. My goal tonight is to pique your curiosity and inspire you to take some action. In short, I want to invite everyone in this room to look at their own relationship with networking and possibly reinvent it. Now, you probably already know that networking has some great benefits for business and for personal, but it might surprise you to hear that most people I coach admit that they struggle with the will because of fear. And we're going to talk about some of those fears tonight. But before we do, I want to share a little bit about my own professional experience and also about my own reinvention to networking. I have about 15 plus years of experience, and most of that has been in the IT industry. I have placed software developers and network infrastructure engineers from New York to California. And in my time, I've looked at over 180,000 resumes. Yeah, I put in my 10,000 hours. I've managed small and large projects, including some that may look familiar to some of you in this room. My work started in St. Louis. Go Cards. Anyone else? Oh, okay, we can talk later. And my work also took me to Atlanta, where I lived for a while. And then a promotion took me to Denver, Colorado. And then another opportunity brought me to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where I live now with my husband of 18 years and my 2 kids. Now, in that experience, I met some amazing leaders, people who really knew how to network smart. But I also met some bosses who, let's just say, had area of opportunity. So a couple years ago, I started writing a leadership blog to help leaders learn how to network smart. I fly all over the country doing keynotes and coaching and workshop programs, and I teach classes at colleges because I think it's important for our young people to understand social media responsibility and that this thing called connection does not mean you have 1,000 Instagram followers. It means you're actually mutually connecting with someone for a benefit that works for both people. I've been on TV several times, and I even won the 2014 Women of Distinction Award last year. But I'm not telling you these things to brag. I'm telling you these things because this wasn't always my comfort level. And none of those stories would have happened if it weren't for networking, including meeting my husband 18 years ago. So I'm going to take you back, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a different story. And it is the story of my very first professional job. Does anybody else remember this company? Yes? All right. There you go. My very first job professionally was with MCI. And I worked for an amazing leader. But one thing about this job was this was before the internet, before social media, before cell phones. And this leader that I reported to used to force me, he encouraged me, I called it forcing, to go to these awful, terrible, horrible things called networking events. I hated these things, hated it. And if you would have told me then that this is what I would be doing for a living, I would have thought you were crazy. Because if you're looking for me in this picture, let me help you. Here I am in the back, talking to no one, checking my watch, and avoiding eye contact because I couldn't wait to get out of there and then tell my boss the next morning what a ridiculous idea it was for him to make me go to these things over and over again. So luckily for me, the universe intervened, and the universe said, enough, okay? They put some amazing mentors, coaches, leaders, and resources in front of me. But these leaders and mentors, what they did for me was they taught me how to come face to face with my own fear. Because you see, when I invited you to consider if you lacked skill or will, I lacked both of those things. So what I learned from these people was that probably the riskiest thing that I had been doing in business up until that point was playing it too safe. So when I got to the fork in the road of business, I decided that I was going to prove everybody wrong that this thing called networking didn't work. So I went ahead and did everything my mentors coached me to do, and guess what happened? All of a sudden, I could face my fears, and this thing called networking started working for me. The more that I helped other people, the more people were willing to help me. And I learned that when you take a big risk in networking, whether it's traditional or social media, if you win, you're happy. But if you lose, you're wise. So I stand before you tonight very wise because I have learned from my failures over and over again. So I'm excited tonight to talk with you all. And my goal is that you will feel empowered at the end of the presentation because I'm going to show you some traditional and social media tools that can work for you. I hope that you will feel comfortable because I'm going to offer you a 3-step networking strategy that works in almost every situation, whether it's traditional or social channels. And I hope that you'll be more open because taking some of those calculated risks, I have found usually the magic starts to happen just outside those comfort zones.